Well, this is Lavender Hill in Clapham Junction. As you can see right now, young people, they're all young, some of them very young, smashing in the windows here of Wimpy. Just over the other side, Ladbrokes, headmaster's hairdresser as well. And from where I'm standing here on Clapham Junction, I cannot see one policeman at all. They're all elsewhere in the city, dealing with problems elsewhere. Let's move up here, see what's happening. This is quite extraordinary, really. Every shop they can find, they're looting. What are you guys up to? Is this fun, is it? Is this fun? They're now going into Headmasters, the hairdresser here. I mean, this is just extraordinary stuff. I've never seen this before, and I live down here in Clapham.
Well, extraordinary stuff. I actually live in Clapham, which is one of the areas where we've seen unbelievable lawlessness. I can't really estimate what it's like. I mean, it's extraordinary. The problem is the police are so overstretched in London because in the past 2 days, various areas of the city have been inundated with people who are just intent on looting whatever they can. So the police were in one area, and for some reason there was a gathering in Clapham Junction in South London. That escalated, and for 2 hours, young men, women, boys, girls, some of them are kids, were just walking up the streets, smashing the windows to all the stores, mainly an electrical store. That seems to be the brunt of their focus, and took whatever they like. And they were walking in and out of these buildings and just walking off with flat-screen televisions, DVD recorders, iPads, whatever they could find. It took 2 hours for the police to get here because the police are stuck in other areas of the city. It really is, well, I've never seen anything like it anywhere in London. It's quite extraordinary.
I've seen your particular reportage, and I'm showing it to my colleague now, John Burns, on the screen in front of us. Did you have a camera, or have you filmed that on a phone?
No, well, as I said, I live in Clapham, so I'd actually just been down reporting on the riots down in Brixton, which happened overnight last night. I finished work, heard that there was something happening down here, so I just got on my bike and came down, and I had my mobile phone, my iPhone with me. But because there are no police here telling people that there is this going on, I ended up cycling right into the middle of it. I filmed a bit of it. You saw, I don't know which bit of video you're looking at, but I filmed a bookmaker, Ladbrokes, I think it was, where they were just ripping the televisions off the wall of that.
Well, Mark, we're about to see that just on our screen now as you walk towards the to Ladbrokes, where the youths just run into this sports betting agency, jump up, and are attempting to pull flat-screen televisions off the wall.
That's right. They try and pull them off the wall. They also went over to the cash register trying to get hold of cash. It wasn't clear to me whether they managed to do that. I then moved back and I filmed the other part of the street. You could see further down the street, there's a very busy train station, Clapham Junction train station, further down the street. That had been closed off by the single policemen on their own, who managed to be there. So no one managed to get in there. But then they moved up the street further on and went to this Curry's store, the electrical store, where they were taking stuff out there. And at one point they tried to take the iPhone out of my hand, but that's when I ran off and managed to get it uploaded so that we can all see it. But I mean, it's extraordinary. I've never seen anything like it. And there were suggestions over the past 48 hours or so that these riots had been linked to the shooting of a man in North London on Thursday. Police shot a man, and that incident is currently under investigation. So certainly early on in the weekend, there were riots which were directly connected with that shooting. People very upset at what the police had done. But I don't really think you can link that shooting in any way with what's happening tonight. These are just people, opportunistic young people, who reckon they can get a couple of things free. They're just wandering in and out of the shop. And right now, as I'm speaking to you, the police have finally arrived at Clapham Junction, and they're unable to do anything because there aren't enough of them. So right opposite where the police have parked their truck is another store called Black's, a sort of hardware store that sells outdoor clothing and that sort of thing. And they're looting it right now, and yet the police are standing by. There is nothing they can do because there are far more looters than there are police. It's bizarre.
Mark, at one stage of your reportage off your phone, you walk up to a group, and I think you said to them, "Is this fun? Is it?"
I did, yeah. I mean, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was really more as a resident than as a journalist. I mean, I just live up the road, and I wanted to know what these guys were, what they thought they were doing. And as I said, some of them are very young. We're talking 14, 15, 16-year-olds. And the ones you're referring to were young girls. I think they were, I would guess, about 15 years old. They were laughing as I went up to them, and then, of course, they turned around and looked a little bit more embarrassed and ran off. But some of them down here are much, much more violent. A little later on, I was filming up the road at this Curry's electrical store. A few people saw me filming and chased me down the road, and others, colleagues of mine, have had the same thing. So it's a great mixture of young people who are just joining the bandwagon and some real serious thugs who reckon that they can cause a big disturbance here. Of course, David Cameron, the British Prime Minister, was on holiday. A lot of the British cabinet have been on holiday. David Cameron is now, at the moment, on his way back to London. He'll be here in the morning. They're taking this very seriously, and frankly, they should do. It's extraordinary stuff.
Mark, a lot of the film that we've seen on the television here indicates that there are an enormous number of fires. Is there any sign of anything being lit or any fires commencing in Clapham?
No, thankfully not. I haven't seen any sign of fires at the moment, which is a good thing, because part of the problem and part of the reason why they haven't, why the fires have been allowed to rage elsewhere is because the fire crews have not been able to get to the fires because they themselves become a target. So you have the problem compounded where the police are trying to protect the fire crews to put out the fires, and so because of that, they're unable to go elsewhere and stop the looting from happening elsewhere. We had some video footage from about an hour ago, live footage that was coming in from Croydon, which is a separate town just south of London. It's kind of connected to London, but it's separate. And there was a huge fire at a big store there. We've seen fires up in North London, in East London as well. But it's worth pointing out one extraordinary thing. You know what it's like living in a city. You could be just up the road from where this is happening and not be aware that it's happening. And that was certainly the case for a lot of people who were having dinner in many of the restaurants that line Clapham Junction and the streets off it. And they had no idea this was happening. The police, of course, weren't telling them because the police weren't here. So people come out having had dinner, and it's 11:15 at night now here in London. People coming out, and they didn't have any idea this was happening until they came out and saw their own neighbourhood completely trashed.
And we're grateful for your time, and we'll let you go just in 1 second, but just a quick answer if we could get from you, Mark, and I guess a fairly daggy, we would say here, question, but nevertheless it's got to be asked of you as a local resident. Where are these kids' parents?
What a great question. I have no idea, because they are kids, you're right. Some of them aren't, some of them are older, but I would say the maximum age of these people is 20. So no, I've no idea where their parents are. And the other thing I don't know, is whether they're local or not. There's been a lot of talk about social media, the likes of Twitter and Facebook, and also BlackBerry Messenger. A lot of these kids have BlackBerry Messenger, which they can message each other without it actually being a text message. They're using that to coordinate. So perhaps these kids are from a different area. They get wind that something's kicking off in one part of town, and they head down here. So there's no way of knowing whether they are locals or whether they've come in from somewhere else. And from the reception that I've got from many of them, I'm not going to talk to them right now.
Mark, brilliant stuff. But if you turn on Sky News here, you'll see your extraordinary report, and we thank you so much for your time, and stay safe.